Today we will explore a calm and steady journey shaped by patience, hope, and quiet strength. It follows a life marked not by loud victories, but by simple choices, honest effort, and the gentle flow of time. Each moment reveals how resilience can grow from ordinary routines, and how purpose can appear in the most unexpected places. Let's begin. Forrest Gump grew up in a quiet American town where roads were long, afternoons were slow, and the sound of cicadas filled the warm air in summer. His home stood on the edge of wide fields that changed color with every season. As a child, he moved through the world with a curious mix of innocence and determination. People around him often underestimated him, but Forrest had a way of seeing life with clarity that others sometimes missed. Though his school results were not the best, he carried a deep sense of patience that helped him face challenges with surprising strength. His childhood was marked by moments of loneliness, but he also learned to find comfort in the simple sights around him. He liked to watch raindrops slide down window glass and notice how the light shifted through the branches in his yard. He did not worry too much about the expectations of others. Instead, he followed the rules set by his mother, who believed strongly in good manners, respect, and the idea that everyone deserved a chance to shine in life. As Forrest grew older, he discovered that movement brought him freedom. Running became a natural escape from doubt and confusion. The rhythm of his steps gave him confidence and helped him understand that actions could often speak louder than words. While he never planned to become remarkable, his ability to focus on the moment placed him on paths few expected him to walk. High school revealed more of the world's rough edges, but Forrest faced them with the same quiet perseverance. When other students laughed at him, he did not respond with anger. Instead, he grounded himself in the steady pace of his daily routines. During afternoons, he sometimes wandered along country trails, noticing how the world changed with every passing hour. The smell of fresh-cut grass, the way the wind rustled through the leaves, and the soft colors fading into evening. His talent for running soon caught the attention of coaches. Although he did not fully understand why people were so impressed, he accepted their support with modesty. He trained with steady effort, never chasing glory, but simply following the instructions given to him. Over time, he found himself moving faster and farther than he ever imagined. Sports opened doors Forrest never expected. The local community began to see him not as the quiet boy with uncertain grades, but as someone capable of surprising achievements. He felt grateful for every opportunity, yet he stayed true to his calm nature. Nothing changed his appreciation for simple routines, and even in moments of victory, he remained grounded. As graduation approached, Forrest found himself at another turning point. The world beyond his small town felt large and unpredictable, but he carried with him the lessons of patience, kindness, and steady effort. Though he could not foresee the adventures waiting for him, the foundations of his remarkable journey were already forming. His life, shaped by gentle persistence, was beginning to stretch beyond familiar roads and into a future he never expected. Forrest entered college with a mixture of uncertainty and hope. The campus felt enormous compared to quiet streets he had known, and every building seemed to whisper stories of people chasing big dreams. Forrest, however, continued to approach life with steady simplicity. He followed schedules, respected rules, and kept his focus on the present moment. While others planned ambitious futures, he concentrated on putting one foot in front of the other, both in class and on the running track. His athletic ability soon became one of the highlights of the university's sports program. Coaches encouraged him, students cheered for him, and newspapers occasionally printed his name. Forrest never fully understood the attention, but he accepted it with calm humility. He trained every morning, listening to the sound of his breath mixing with the soft thud of his footsteps. Running gave him a sense of direction when the rest of life felt too complex. In those long stretches along tree-lined paths, he found peace and purpose. College life brought new responsibilities as well. Forrest had to manage assignments, attend lectures, and move through crowded hallways filled with voices and fast decisions. Although the academic side remained challenging, he tried his best, relying on simple routines to stay organized. He used notebooks filled with clear lists, kept his belongings in careful order, and approached each day as a chance to do a little better. His classmates sometimes rushed past him, chasing deadlines with nervous energy, but Forrest preferred calm pacing, trusting that persistence often mattered more than speed. Despite the busy environment, Forrest developed a quiet appreciation for the atmosphere of the campus. He liked the smell of old books in the library, the wide lawns where students rested between classes, and the way autumn leaves drifted across stone walkways. Even in moments when he felt out of place, he reminded himself of his mother's belief that everyone had worth. This thought helped him stay patient with challenges and kind toward the people he met. As seasons changed, Forrest running took him to competitions across the region. He traveled by bus with his teammates, watching landscapes roll by in a blur of forests, fields, and distant towns. These journeys broadened his view of the world, showing him places and people he had never imagined. Although he rarely spoke much during trips, he observed everything closely: the pattern of raindrops on bus windows, the shifting colors of early mornings, and the proud expressions of supporters gathered at finish lines. His physical strength and determined spirit continued to grow. Races pushed him to discover limits he had not known he could reach. Each step he took was a reminder that progress did not require grand plans, only the courage to keep moving forward. Even when he lost a race, he accepted the result calmly, knowing that effort mattered more than trophies. College gradually turned into a period of steady transformation. Without seeking fame or recognition, Forrest became a symbol of dedication on campus. Teachers respected his consistent effort, athletes admired his endurance, and students who once overlooked began to see him in a new light. Yet he never let attention change him. He woke early, trained hard, studied quietly, and remained loyal to the gentle wisdom he learned at home. As graduation approached once again, Forrest sensed that his path would soon shift. The world beyond university walls stretched wide and unpredictable, but he felt ready to face it with the same quiet strength that had guided him since childhood. His steps, firm, steady, and sincere, carried him toward a future shaped not by ambition, but by honest endurance. After finishing college, Forrest stepped into adult life with the same calm acceptance he had shown since childhood. The world around him seemed bigger and more complicated than ever, filled with rules he did not fully understand and expectations he never tried to chase. Still, he moved forward with quiet confidence. His steady nature and strong work ethic guided him into the next chapter of his journey, even when he was unsure where each new road would lead. The country was experiencing a time of tension and rapid change, and Forrest soon found himself joining the Army. Military life introduced him to strict routines, early mornings, and long training sessions under the hot sun. While many recruits struggled with discipline, Forrest adapted easily. Clear instructions and repeated tasks suited him well, allowing him to move through each day with steady focus. He listened carefully, followed orders without complaint, and approached every task with honesty and effort. The training grounds were filled with dust, loud whistles, and the constant echo of marching boots. Forrest moved within this intense environment like a quiet observer. He paid attention to details: the shine of polished helmets, the order of uniforms, and the rhythmic movements of drills. Although he did not speak much, his reliable nature earned him respect. Some soldiers found comfort in his calm presence, while others admired his ability to remain steady even under pressure. During long hours of physical training, Forrest discovered new strength in himself. Marching across open fields reminded him of the freedom he felt while running, and although these marches were not the same, they carried a sense of purposeful movement that he understood well. Nights in the barracks brought a different atmosphere: dim lights, quiet murmurs, and the slow settling of tired bodies into narrow beds. Forrest often lay awake, thinking about home, his mother's gentle lessons, and the simple routines that once shaped his days. Life in the Army also brought moments of reflection. Forrest saw people from different states, each with their own stories, hopes, and fears. He noticed how some struggled with homesickness, how others hid their worries behind loud laughter, and how a few carried memories they did not speak of. Though he rarely shared his own thoughts, he paid close attention to the emotions around him. His natural kindness helped him offer silent support, whether by lending a hand during tough exercises or simply listening when someone needed a steady presence nearby. As training continued, Forrest learned new skills and adapted to unfamiliar situations. He practiced tasks that required patience, precision, and endurance. Although he did not aim for special recognition, instructors sometimes pointed out his reliable performance. He remained modest, taking each day as it came and trusting that doing his best was enough. When the time arrived for deployment, Forrest felt a mixture of uncertainty and acceptance. He packed his gear carefully and prepared to travel far from the peaceful landscapes of his childhood. The journey ahead was filled with unknowns, but he approached it with the same quiet strength that had guided him through school, through college, and into the structured world of the military. As he boarded the transport that would take him into the next stage of his life, the air felt heavy with anticipation. Forrest did not seek adventure, yet adventure continued to find him. With steady steps and a calm heart, he moved toward a future that would test his patience, courage, and resilience in ways he could not yet imagine. Deployment carried Forrest into a landscape far different from anything he had known. The air felt thick with heat, and the distant horizon shimmered beneath an unfamiliar sun. The land stretched wide and uneven, marked by dense vegetation, narrow dirt paths, and the distant hum of insects that filled the long hours. Forrest stepped into this new environment with cautious curiosity, observing everything with the same quiet attention he brought to every part of life. Days in the field were demanding. Soldiers moved carefully through forests and open clearings, carrying equipment that weighed heavily on their shoulders. Forrest adapted to routine with steady patience. He rose early, checked his gear with methodical care, and followed the group wherever they were sent. The long marches reminded him of his running days, although these journeys carried tension rather than freedom. Each step required awareness, and each pause demanded calm. Despite the challenges, Forrest maintained his simple approach to life. When others grew nervous or frustrated, he focused on practical tasks, cleaning equipment, preparing meals, or organizing supplies. These small routines helped him stay grounded. He found comfort in predictable actions, even when the world around him felt uncertain. His dependable nature brought a quiet sense of order to the group, and some soldiers found reassurance in his steady presence. The environment around them shifted constantly. Rainstorms appeared suddenly, soaking everything within minutes, and the earth beneath their feet turned into thick mud. Other days were dry and heavy with heat, making every movement slow and exhausting. Forrest observed these changes with calm acceptance. He noticed how the colors of the sky shifted from pale morning light to deep orange evenings, and how the sounds of the forest changed from hour to hour. Even in difficult circumstances, he found moments of stillness in the natural world. Though the mission demanded long hours of focus, there were short periods of rest when soldiers gathered near small fires or under makeshift shelters. During these breaks, Forrest often sat quietly, listening to the distant rustle of leaves or watching the smoke curl into the air. He thought about home, remembering the cool shade of trees near his house, the gentle advice his mother often repeated, and the peaceful rhythm of life before the army. These memories strengthened him during long and tiring days. The months passed slowly, marked by effort, caution, and endurance. Forrest learned to adapt to the constant uncertainty around him. He developed a sense of timing, knowing when to move quickly and when to wait in silence. His steady character helped him face each day without panic, and his patience became one of his greatest strengths. Some soldiers struggled with exhaustion and fear, but Forrest continued forward with quiet resilience, carrying both responsibility and hope. Through challenges and unpredictable moments, Forrest's sense of purpose grew stronger. He began to understand that courage was not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it appeared in small actions, staying calm during confusion, offering help when someone stumbled, or continuing to move even when the path felt overwhelming. Forrest embodied this quiet courage without ever seeking recognition for it. As his time in the field continued, Forrest's experiences shaped him in subtle yet powerful ways. He learned that the world was far more complex than the simple routines of his childhood, but he also discovered that his own steady nature could carry him through situations that frightened even the strongest souls. When orders finally came that his deployment would soon end, Forrest felt relief mixed with a strange sense of reflection. The journey back home was beginning to unfold, but Forrest understood that he would not return as exactly the same person who had left. The hardships, the long marches, and the quiet moments under foreign skies had changed him, preparing him for future chapters he could not yet see. Returning home after deployment felt like stepping into another world. The familiar roads, soft landscapes, and quieter rhythms brought Forrest a sense of comfort he had not felt in months. Yet beneath this peaceful surface, he carried memories of long days and uncertain nights spent far away. These experiences had settled deep inside him, shaping his view of life in ways he could not fully explain. Still, he approached his return with the same gentle acceptance that guided him through every stage of his journey. Civilian life moved at a different pace. At first, Forrest found the silence of early morning strangely intense. He noticed the absence of distant noise, the lack of hurried commands, and the return of small, ordinary sounds. Birds in trees, footsteps on a wooden porch, and the soft hum of a passing car. He took comfort in these details, letting them reconnect him with the world he knew before the Army. He spent time walking familiar paths, observing how the seasons had changed while he was away. People in his town welcomed him kindly, though some approached him with caution, unsure what he had experienced. Forrest did not share many details. Instead, he listened, nodded politely, and offered simple answers. He felt no need to describe the weight of memories he carried. His calm presence reassured others, and over time, conversations returned to ordinary topics, whether work and community events. Forrest found peace in these everyday interactions. Soon, he began searching for new direction. His mother encouraged him to explore opportunities, reminding him that life often opened doors when one stayed patient. Forrest considered different possibilities, and eventually, he discovered a small business that needed reliable workers. The job involved practical tasks, organizing equipment, maintaining supplies, and assisting with routine operations. These responsibilities suited him well. The steady rhythm of work brought structure to his days and allowed him to use the discipline he had learned in the Army. As he settled into this new routine, Forrest rediscovered the joy of simple physical activity. He resumed running, not for competition, but for peace of mind. Each morning, he followed quiet streets or country trails, letting the steady motion clear his thoughts. Running reminded him that progress did not always require grand ambition. Sometimes it came through consistent effort, one step at a time, just as he had always believed. The familiar rhythm helped him regain balance after the challenges he had faced. Over time, Forrest became known in his community for his reliability and modest strength of character. People trusted him with important tasks because they knew he approached everything with care and honesty. Although he never sought attention, his quiet dedication left a lasting impression on those around him. He helped neighbors without being asked, completed his work without complaint, and faced each day with steady determination. Life remained simple, yet Forrest sensed that new possibilities were slowly forming around him. He observed how people moved through their own challenges, how they worked hard to build their futures, and how small acts of kindness created connections that lasted. Without planning it, He became part of these connections, offering support where he could, and accepting the friendship of those who appreciated his calm presence. As months passed, Forrest felt a growing sense of stability. The tension and unpredictability of deployment gradually faded, replaced by quiet routines and gentle moments of reflection. He learned to value peace more deeply than ever before, recognizing that the calm he now experienced was something many longed for but did not always find. Though he could not predict what awaited him next, Forrest continued to move forward with steady hope. He trusted that life, in its unpredictable way, would guide him toward new experiences. With patience and an open heart, he walked into each day ready to face whatever came, knowing that every step, whether quiet or challenging, was part of a journey still unfolding as Forrest settled more firmly into the rhythm of civilian life. He began exploring new interests beyond work and running. One of these interests emerged unexpectedly when he noticed an old wooden dock at the edge of a nearby river. The boards were worn and uneven, yet the quiet flow of water beneath them fascinated him. The river moved with a calm but steady force, carrying leaves, reflections, and the soft colors of the sky along its surface. Forrest found himself returning often, drawn by the peacefulness of the place. Spending time by the river awakened a curiosity he had not felt before. He observed small fishing boats drifting along the gentle current, watched people prepare their nets, and listened to the soft splash of paddles cutting through the water. The simplicity of the work appealed to him. The task seemed clear and honest, shaped by nature's rhythm rather than strict schedules or loud demands. Over time, Forrest felt a growing desire to understand this quiet world more deeply. When he had saved enough money, he purchased a small boat in need of repair. It sat crooked on the shore, its paint peeling and its wooden sides weathered by years of use. Many people would have seen only a broken vessel, but Forrest saw potential. He approached the task with the same patient determina, tie-in that had carried him through every challenge in life. Slowly, piece by piece, he began restoring the boat. He sanded rough edges, replaced damaged planks, and cleaned every surface with care. The restoration became a daily project. Forrest worked in the warm sun, the cool shade, and the soft light of evening. While he repaired the boat, he listened to the hum of insects, the distant call of birds, and the quiet movement of the river. These sounds gave him a sense of connection to something larger than himself. His hands moved steadily, guided by patience rather than expertise, and each small improvement brought a sense of simple pride. When the boat was finally ready, Forrest pushed it into the water with cautious excitement. The vessel floated gently, rocking with the current, and Forrest stepped inside with careful balance. The river welcomed him with soft ripples that spread outward from the hull. He began to explore the waterways around his town, rowing slowly at first, then with more confidence as he learned how the boat responded to his movements. In time, Forrest developed a routine on the river. He rose early, when mist still hung above the water, and rowed along the winding banks. The world felt different at that hour, quiet, cool, and full of subtle colors that shifted with the rising sun. He learned to read the patterns of the current, to recognize the shapes of distant trees, and to appreciate how the river changed from day to day. These quiet mornings brought him a deep sense of peace. Eventually, Forrest began using the boat for simple fishing work. He studied the habits of fish, learned which areas were most promising, and carried nets and small tools with him on each trip. His approach remained calm and patient. He worked steadily, guided by observation rather than ambition. Some days brought good results, while others offered little. Forrest accepted both outcomes with equal ease, understanding that nature followed its own rhythm. His growing presence on the river earned the attention of local residents. Fishermen recognized his face, nodded in greeting, and offered advice without expecting anything in return. Over time, Forrest became a familiar figure along the riverbanks. People respected his quiet perseverance, seeing in him a sincerity that required no explanation. Being on the water gave Forrest time to reflect on everything he had experienced. The calm flow reminded him that life, like a river, moved forward with steady power. It carried moments of difficulty and moments of peace, shifting constantly, but always continuing. Forrest found comfort in this idea, realizing that he too had moved through many different currents without losing his sense of self. As seasons changed, the river became an important part of his life, both a source of work and a place of reflection. Forrest did not seek recognition or success. He simply followed the path that felt natural, allowing life to guide him gently forward. Though he could not predict where the river would lead him, he trusted that its steady movement would carry him toward new experiences, just as his own steady spirit had always done. As Forrest continued his quiet work on the river, the seasons shaped the landscape around him in slow, gentle patterns. Spring brought soft green leaves that trembled in the breeze. Summer covered the water in warm reflections, while autumn carried drifting colors that floated on the surface like small pieces of fading sunlight. Winter arrived with cold mornings and pale skies. Yet even then the river kept moving, steady and determined. Forrest felt connected to these natural cycles, finding comfort in their predictable rhythm. The fishing business grew slowly. Forrest's reliable habits and careful attention to detail brought consistent, if modest, success. He repaired nets with patient hands, kept his boat in good condition, and stored his tools neatly after each trip. People who lived near the river began to trust his work and often asked him for small deliveries. He accepted their requests with quiet gratitude, happy to contribute to the community in his own simple way. Despite the steady routine, Forrest experienced moments of deep reflection during long hours on the water. The river offered space to think, and memories from his past surfaced in gentle waves. He remembered the wide fields of his childhood, the encouragement of his mother, the excitement and challenges of college, and the long, heavy days of deployment. These memories did not trouble him. Instead, they reminded him how far he had traveled and how each stage of his life had shaped him into someone resilient and sincere. On certain evenings, Forrest watched the sunset from the middle of the river. The sky shifted slowly through shades of red, gold, and purple, casting soft reflections across the water. The quiet beauty of these moments filled him with a deep sense of gratitude. He realized that peace could be found in stillness as well as movement, in simplicity as much as achievement. Though he had never planned his life in detail, he understood that each unexpected turn had led him to a place of calm purpose. His connection to the community strengthened as well. Locals often saw him rowing in the early morning or returning at dusk with steady strokes. Some greeted him with warm waves, others with friendly gestures of recognition. Forrest responded with polite nods and quiet smiles. He did not seek attention, yet people valued his presence. His reliability gave them confidence, and his gentle nature made him easy to approach. Over time, he became a constant part of daily life along the riverbank. As his work continued, Forrest noticed changes not only in the water, but also in himself. He had grown more patient, more observant, and more comfortable with solitude. He appreciated the small details around him, ripples forming along the boat's sides, the sudden flight of birds startled by the current, the distant rustle of wind through the reeds. These quiet experiences brought him a sense of fulfillment that required no recognition or reward. During evenings at home, Forrest kept simple routines. He cooked plain meals, maintained his equipment, and organized the supplies for the next day. He sometimes sat on his porch afterward, listening to the soft chorus of crickets and watching fireflies blink in the darkness. These moments reminded him of the gentle rhythm of his childhood, and he felt grateful for the enduring simplicity that continued to shape his life. As the years passed, Forrest understood that his journey had taken him further than he ever expected, not through dramatic achievements, but through steady endurance. His life was built on patience, kindness, and quiet effort, values often overlooked but deeply meaningful. He had discovered that true strength did not need applause and that genuine purpose could grow from small, consistent actions. Looking ahead, Forrest felt no need to chase grand plans. He trusted the natural flow of life, believing that each new day would bring its own quiet lessons. With steady hands and a calm heart, he continued to guide his boat along the familiar river, ready to meet whatever paths awaited him in the gentle current of the days to come. That as time continued its steady march, Forrest found himself entering a quieter stage of life. The river that had once felt vast and full of unknowns now felt like an old companion. Its curves and currents, its shifting colors and soft movements, had become familiar and comforting. Forrest understood its patterns almost instinctively, sensing when the water would rise after heavy rain or when the fish would move toward deeper pools. He moved with the river as naturally as he breathed, guided by patience and respect for the world around him. His fishing work settled into a gentle rhythm that brought stability, but also moments of reflection. Forrest noticed how small details revealed the passing years, the changing depth of certain channels, the appearance of new branches along the banks, the slow smoothing of stones beneath the flowing water. He also noticed changes in himself. His steps became slower, his hands carried more lines of age, and his thoughts drifted more often toward memories shaped over a lifetime. Yet Forrest did not fear these changes. He accepted them with the same calmness that guided him through every stage of his life. He continued to rise early, preparing his boat with steady hands, and gliding across the quiet surface of the river before dawn. The cool morning air refreshed him, and the stillness reminded him of the simple truth he had learned again and again. Life moved forward, and all one could do was follow its current with honesty and patience. The community around him shifted as well. New families moved to the area. Children grew up along the riverbanks, and older neighbors passed on their wisdom before stepping into quieter seasons of their own. Many people regarded Forrest as a symbol of stability, someone who had remained consistent through decades of change. Though he did not seek recognition, his presence offered comfort to those who watched him row steadily across the water year after year. Sometimes, Forrest sat on the river during long, peaceful afternoons, allowing his boat to drift slightly while he reflected on the path that had brought him to this point. He remembered school days filled with uncertainty, the challenges and friendships of college, the long marches and tense moments of deployment, and the slow rebuilding of his life after returning home. These memories came to him not as painful echoes, but as essential steps in a journey that shaped his quiet strength. In these reflective moments, Forrest understood that every stage of life had taught him something valuable. From his mother, he had learned kindness and perseverance. From running, he had discovered the power of steady movement. From the army, he had gained discipline and resilience. From the river, he had learned patience, observation, and the deep comfort of simplicity. Each lesson had become part of him, like the grains of sand that slowly formed the shape of a riverbank. As the sun began to set each evening, Forrest often guided his boat home, watching the warm light spread across the surface of the water in shimmering patterns. The sky filled with soft colors that blended into the fading day, and the first stars appeared one by one. These transitions reminded him of how life moved through phases, bright and energetic at times, quiet and reflective at others. He felt grateful to have witnessed so many of these moments, each one carrying its own quiet beauty. At home, Forrest continued to follow simple routines. He organized his gear, prepared meals with calm focus, and rested in the gentle quiet of his small house. He appreciated the comfort of regularity, knowing that even the simplest activities could carry meaning. In the stillness of night, he sometimes sat outside, looking up at the stars scattered across the sky like distant lanterns. The vastness above reminded him that life was bigger than any single journey, yet every journey mattered. As Forrest grew older, he did not worry about what he had or had not achieved. He understood that the value of a life could not be measured only by accomplishments recognized by others, but also by quiet consistency, sincere effort, and the ability to move forward with a steady heart. He had lived honestly, cared deeply in his own quiet way, and remained true to the gentle wisdom he carried from childhood. In the final stretch of his journey, Forrest continued to rise each morning with calm purpose. Whether he stepped onto his boat or simply walked along the riverbank, he embraced the day with gratitude. He knew that every moment, every sunrise, every ripple in the water, every soft breeze was a gift shaped by time and experience. And so, with the same gentle endurance that guided him through every season of life, Forrest moved forward, trusting the quiet current to carry him wherever he was meant to go. And so, through every change and every quiet step forward, the journey reaches a place of peaceful understanding. Life continues to move like a steady current, carrying memories, lessons, and hope into each new day. The path may not have been planned, but was lived with sincerity, patience, and a gentle heart, proof that even the simplest life can leave a lasting, meaningful mark.